Hey guys, it's Drew again. I decided to do something that I've never done. I went for a small drive up in northeast Georgia to a town called Royston, the home of Ty Cobb. I've lived here for 35 years and I've never gone to the Ty Cobb Museum. So today I decided to go and bring you along with me. So let's check it out. The Ty Cobb Museum is in Royston, Georgia. It's where Ty Cobb basically grew up. Now, he wasn't born in Royston, but he moved here when he was a very little boy. And the museum housed a lot of different great artifacts, and most of it was focused about him and his connection to this part of the state and this part of the country. As you guys know, Ty Cobb's considered one of the greatest batters and hitters in baseball history, pivotal in the way that baseball changed over the years. As I walked through the museum, it was just a joy to see some photographs. Ty and his family, Ty with his, as a young boy, and just different things and his connection to this area. Now as collectors, we want to know, do they have cards? And as you can see, they absolutely did. What I found really, really cool was that these cards were donated from mainly Ty Cobb's family. These are not cards that were there for value. They're not there for the grade. They're not there for the resale. What they were there for is a reminder of who their grandfather or great uncle or the person in the community, who he was to baseball, who he was to the family, and who he was to this part of history in baseball. While you can see some other memorabilia that's in there, such as watches, coins, pins, one of the coolest things that was in the museum was donated from somebody from Anniston, Alabama. Now, Anniston was the first full season that Ty Cobb ever played when he was just a teenager. And what it is the scorecard. It's the whole book that the team kept to see everybody's statistics. The game you see is May 16th, 1904, and Ty Cobb batting 7th. As you can see, he got a hit in his very first game of a full season. What they did was they actually photocopied the entire book, and you could look through game by game and see Ty Cobb's performance, both as a teammate and how the team did against the other small teams down in the South way back at the turn of last century. Really, really a cool and unique piece. Cobb loved being from Georgia. He was very proud of his heritage. He loved the outdoors, the wilderness. He loved to hunt in the off-season. In fact, he would walk around with weighted boots on to help strengthen his legs for the baseball season. And while they had trophies of his hunting prowess, one of the coolest things that they had on display was a custom gun that he had made for him. You can see him holding it here in this photograph, but better than the photograph was the actual gun. It was just a beautiful piece. Now, I'm not a hunter, but I can tell craftsmanship when I see it. It was absolutely stunning to look at, and just a beautiful piece, one of a kind. You're not going to see it anywhere else but at the Ty Cobb Museum. As I scroll through, you can see some things from his personal effects. Keys, glasses, a shaving kit. It just shows the humanity of who he was. And while he was a great player and he's revered as almost mythical, as a person, that's how he's connected to this community in northeast Georgia. Back in the 90s, when the movie Cobb came out with Tommy Lee Jones, it really outraged the community because it depicted Cobb and all the stereotypes of being a racist and angry and friendless and everybody he hated and hated everybody. And while it did show a determination to win, it didn't show the humanity of Cobb. So the community and the family of Cobb decided to get together. They donated items. They went into their basements. They went into their attics. They found pieces of artifacts from Ty Cobb's playing career. They found things that he had from post-playing career, things that showed his humanity, things that showed his philanthropy. Ty Cobb was an amazing person, and while he was human and he was flawed, he was more than just the terrible monster that the media or that Hollywood tries to make him out to be. One of the things about Cobb was he invested early in Coca-Cola, which is, of course, a Georgia company. and it ended up making him a multimillionaire. He also invested in General Motors when he lived up in Detroit because he thought that was a great startup company way back there. Well, he had lots of money, and you can see some of the Coke items that they put out for Cobb as a representative of their company. But what he did was he gave back. He started the Cobb Memorial Hospital, as you can see the picture, in 1950. And while that hospital and that building no longer exists, it's actually grown into a much larger network of hospitals in the area, including Ty Cobb Regional Medical Center, which still stands today in Livonia, Georgia. One of my favorite pieces by far in this entire museum shows the sense of humor that Ty Cobb had. And it's a photograph, a Type 1 photograph. It's from, I believe, 1914, and it's a team photo, a panoramic photo. And a panoramic photo of a team, they would start and everyone would stand very still. And as you can see, Ty Cobb standing second from the left. And as the photographer would pan across the team, as soon as Cobb got out of shot, he took off running and he ran around the back of the photographer and then lined up and posed on the right side. And as you can see, the little quirky smile on his face, probably out of breath, thinking it's pretty funny, Ty Cobb appears twice in the same photograph. And there he is, Ty Cobb again, all the way on the right with that laugh. Really funny to me. Ty Cobb, his sense of humor, and there he is in the entire 1914 Detroit Tigers team. Could you imagine having a team with Ty Cobb on there twice? Man, nobody would beat a team like that. As we look at some of the different artwork and displays, I want to take a moment just to thank the people of the Ty Cobb Museum. When I asked them if I could film, they got very excited. In fact, they actually locked the door and let me take a private tour for 45 minutes all by myself. It was really neat. I got to talk to Jeff, who's the husband of the manager, and he's a huge Ty Cobb fan and just really passionate about Ty Cobb and what he means within the community. It was really a special treat, and I'm really, really happy to have done that. I had an amazing time that day. It's an experience I'll never forget. And I really want to thank Jeff and the management there for giving the time to me to walk me around, to answer my questions, and to be able to do this interview. Originally, I was going to use Jeff and his interview along with the footage that you've already seen and talk about the museum and why it was developed. But as I was getting the editing together, I came across this other video from a few years ago from another guy on YouTube, and he honestly did a way better job than I could. So I'm going to put a link to his video down below. I encourage you to go watch it. The last thing I want to talk about, I purposely didn't show it in the video, but there was a letter there. And this letter was written from Ty Cobb's father to him when he was just a teenager. He was away visiting his grandparents, and this letter was really well done. It showed the passion and the bond between a father and a son. And I'm not going to go into the history of Ty Cobb's family and everything. There's been so much said about that. But more about this letter. It talks. It's Ty Cobb's dad telling him how to conduct himself as a man as he's growing up, how to treat women and his wife well whenever he gets married, how to treat people with passion and compassion, how to treat nature and all of the things that God created around with care and not abuse it. And it's really well written. It's really well crafted, and it's really poetic. And one of the things that I find interesting of the connection to this was the fact that when Ty Cobb passed away in 1961, the original letter that his dad had written was folded up and it was found in the breast pocket of his jacket of the day that Ty Cobb died. That shows how much the connection Ty Cobb had with his father. And while his father had a tragic end, he still was a bond to him all those years. I'm not going to read the letter, but if you go into the museum and ask, they will give you a photocopy of the actual letter that was written from father to son. But what I really kind of found interesting, and of course this is a little self-serving, but as he ended the letter, the last advice that he gave to him was, be good. So from Ty Cobb's dad and from me, all you guys out there, appreciate you going on and coming along with me. But until next time, you guys be good.